I'm Dana K. White. Today I'm going to talk about step 3 in my 5-step no mess decluttering process. Step 3, donations. Sometimes people ask, what does D-U-H stand for? Is it an acronym? And I say, no, it's just the sound that I make when I realize I don't want this thing, or I thought I got rid of it. Duh, it needs to go in the donate box. Here's the thing. I have a 5-step process, okay? I created this 5-step process. It is explained in great detail, all the things you need to know about it in my book, Decluttering at the Speed of Life. I also have lots of videos out there with my 5-step process in it, okay? But we're diving into this step because it's a step that is basically permission to stick things in the donate box now instead of having to ask myself decluttering questions. So my 5-step process does not use emotions to declutter in any of it. We don't ever ask why we have this item. We don't ever think about or analyze how we feel. We do things in a way that eliminates all the what ifs and the angst, okay? So it's all very fact and instinct based. But the first 3 steps of the process are specifically designed for me to immediately make progress without expending any emotional energy and without making a single decision. And the process works in a way where I am never going to pull everything out of a space. I always go one item at a time, making the space better and better and better. So I can just use the first 3 steps, not expend any emotional energy whatsoever, and make a real impact on a space. And the more that I do that, the more that I see the value of doing something, of making this space better, of making it have less than it did before, the more I'm willing to tackle spaces, because I know I'm only gonna make it better. I don't have to stop my entire life until I'm done with this space. It is worth it to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever, and jump in on this space because I know I'm only gonna make it better, okay? But let's talk specifically about the donation step. Not everything needs to be analyzed. I have decluttering questions. I narrowed them down to 2 questions, which I'll get into in a future video. But I narrowed them down to 2 questions so that I could work through as many things as possible, as quickly as possible, because I had so much stuff to deal with. I couldn't ask myself all these 10 question lists that people would put out there of, things to think about when you're gonna declutter, things to ask yourself. I narrowed it down to 2 questions. And if I can answer the first one, I don't even have to ask the second one, okay? But there's stuff that doesn't even deserve to have questions asked about it. And this step is in the process to give myself permission to go ahead and stick stuff in the donate box without analyzing, without asking questions, because everything that leaves this space in steps 1 through 3 makes steps 4 and 5, where I am making some decisions, so much easier. Everything that I eliminate means there are fewer items I'm going to have to ask myself the decluttering questions about. And knowing that, seeing that visually happen, there'd be fewer items than there were before that I'm gonna have to actually, make decluttering decisions about, just lessens my feeling of overwhelm, which then builds the momentum that I need to make real progress, okay? So what do I mean when I say donation? I mean something that I've meant to donate already. Sometimes it's stuff that I thought I donated. I hear from people all the time who say, I was working in a catch-all room, and I found 3 boxes of things that I had already thought I had donated. Okay, that's a donation. Here's the thing. All of my steps in my process take away the self-loathing. They give me permission to just do the thing. Donations, it's a step. It's not a step where I then have to go, Dana, why? Why did you not get rid of this sooner? Why did I keep this for so... No, it's a donation. It's a donation. That's a thing in this process, so almost stick it in the donate box. And then it's done. It's over. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I've made real progress, okay? So it often is, like I said, things you thought you donated already, stuff that is from a past phase of life. Like maybe it's outgrown clothing. Maybe it's the supplies from something that you used to do. Now, If that's not a duh donation to you, then we're gonna get to that stuff as we get farther in the process, okay? As we get to steps 4 and 5, it will deal with that. So don't let anything trip you up because you think, well, this should be a duh, but it's not for me. No. We're just talking about the stuff that you're like, oh, I still have the stuff from when I was room mom for my kid who's graduating from high school when he was in 1st grade. That can go, okay? Sometimes it might be trash, but this is the stuff that's gonna be donated. Like this is the stuff that, it's paper supplies and all these kinds of things that you had for this project. And okay, I'm gonna get rid of these things. I'm gonna put them in the donation box, okay? We don't put trash in there, we just put donations in there. But that's permission for me to do that. The duh stuff is going to appear all throughout the process, all right? Trash is gonna appear all throughout the process. You're gonna run across easy stuff all throughout the process because we don't ever just pull everything out and then identify it. We're taking out one item at a time. You're dealing with what you can actually see at the moment. So you are gonna have moments throughout it when you are well into the 5th step and you're like, oh, this is a donation. That's fine. There is no perfect way to do things, but having the steps gives me something to do next. Because the person who is like me, who gets very overwhelmed by clutter and tends to shut down, we need the next step. So having the next step be donations lets me realize, okay, I did trash, I did easy stuff, or I did trash, I think I've done easy stuff, I don't know, I'm just gonna move on to donations. I'm giving myself permission to say, okay, what can leave this space without any thought or decision or emotional energy being put into it, okay? That leaves I've made progress. It's one more way to build decluttering momentum. Seeing items leave. Seeing immediate progress when something goes in the donate box, not across the house, but straight into the donate box. When you see, wow, I took this teddy bear that no one in my house ever had any emotional attachment to, but it was really nice, and so I stuck it in here thinking somebody would want it someday, whatever. I took this teddy bear, I stuck it in the donate box, and I immediately freed up a lot of visible, usable space in this area that used to be super cluttered. And I didn't even have to move my feet because my donate box is right here. Every time that happens, something happens in your brain that inspires you to keep going, okay? Every item going into the donate box, it is amazing to me. When you watch my 1 Hour Betters where I work with someone else, you see that in the beginning, it's like, okay, donations. And as they keep going, they start to see things that, oh, well, before it was like, oh no, this should be, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, duh. Because donations are so incredibly easy that it inspires you to keep getting rid of more, which is how we ultimately are gonna get our house to the point where we're under our clutter threshold, which is the amount of stuff that we personally, individually can keep under control easily in our own homes, right? So getting rid of more is incredibly powerful, and giving yourself permission to just stick things in the donate box without asking the questions is gonna take you far. But don't worry, okay? If this is the only video of mine that you've ever watched, welcome, okay? But also know that I am in no way saying that everything in your house that shouldn't be there should just be a donation. Oh, no. This is one step in the process. And if things are not a donation, if you think, well, this should be a donation, but it's not, skip that thing, and you're gonna get to it as we get into the decluttering questions, which I will be diving into deeply here soon, okay? All right, I hope this was helpful. I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.